and this is the first video. My story's a little different than most. I'll take you all the way back to 1994. It's like, I don't know what year I was in 7th grade, but it all started with Mr. Barnes, the principal. I was in the back of a science room where they kept the frogs that you dissect. It sounds like I'm making this up, I'm not. And I got into a little altercation with him and I shoved him against the door. Kids in school, the rumor said, Chris hit Mr. Barnes, Chris punched Mr. Barnes. For years, all my friends said that. I rolled with it for a long time. I said, yeah, punch Mr. Barnes. Well, it didn't end too well for me. I got kicked out of middle school and I had to take a short bus to an entirely different town. Out in Carroll County, Westminster, Maryland, called Gateway. You can look it up near the airport. It's a brick building with cameras in, cameras out. It was just like a school for bad kids. I got older, I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do in life, you know. I was kind of bouncing around. I was gonna graduate high school and my mom was moving and I was gonna move in with my dad in another town, and I thought, I'm gonna go to community college. At the time, I only had one little dot that I could connect to entrepreneurship, and that was in high school when I decided to create I never even noticed. Oh, I thought this was an air duct. I never connected the dot, but in high school, I was just pumped up and inspired by skateboarding, and I was making videos and whatnot. And I decided to create Irish skateboards. So I went on the internet. Actually, I went on Microsoft Word because the internet wasn't really like that. And I made a logo. It was super cheesy on Microsoft Word. And I took it to like a local print shop and we printed a bunch of shirts. And then I got stickers made and I was like selling the shirts at school. I had no connection between me like having a business in the future and me just doing this stupid thing in high school. So that just died off, you know, as I got older, and I was, you know, I just grew out of that. Well, I moved to another town and I decided I'm going to community college. I'm like, I got to find the best job I can find with the least amount of college with the most pay I can find. Like time to income ratio or something. I didn't even know what I was tapping into, but I was looking for that, you know, something simple, something easy. Get me in there, 2 years, get me out, get me working, giving me a paycheck. I left out a bunch of jobs, but in between then and when I was younger and then, I had worked at Roy Rogers making chicken. I was a mason laborer for summers, and then I started working at Pep Boys when I moved to my dad's house. So I started community college, and I was working at Pep Boys at the parts counter selling car parts. This is the Pep Boys on Route 40 in Catonsville, Maryland, outside of Baltimore. You can look it up. It used to be an Applebee's next to it. I don't know if it's still there, in a Dollar General or Dollar Store. Which my wife and I ended up shopping and buying groceries at that dollar store for years. But we'll get to all that. So I enroll in school, I take the placement tests or whatever they are. I never took the SATs, I don't know why, I never took them. And then I take the placement test and I find out that I have to take like English 10, I had to take English 99, or I don't even know what the classes were, math 089 and all these classes just to get to the point where I got the ones that gave me credit. It ended up making it to where I'd probably be in school for like 3 years. In community college, you know. And I was enrolled, and I was already in. I did like a semester and a half. Halfway through the second semester, I said to my dad, I think I want to become a mechanic. At the time, Fast and Furious came out, and I had my Civic. I had a 95 Civic, single overhead cam VTEC. And I was working at Pep Boys, and I was around all the mechanics and car parts and whatnot. And I was like, I want to become a mechanic. So I talked to my mom and dad, and they were like, I mean, it's up to you. All right, let me get in this gym and try to do something real quick. All right, I just finished in the gym. All right, so I was like, you know what? Hey, what's up, man? Damn, where'd you get this?
I'm settled, bro.
What? Oh, man, I love it. What? Man, this thing is nice. Oh, are you kidding me? Damn. You're dialed in now.
Just to, you know, it was like...
We got the Porsche Club. Oh, that thing sounds good. GTS. All right, so I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to go to community college anymore. I'm going to become a mechanic. So I went to Lincoln Tech, all right? Started at Lincoln Tech, and then my mom, she was a speech pathologist at an elementary school. And she was friends with this family. They worked together, and the husband was a mechanic. He was a diesel mechanic down in Washington. Oh, I dropped my phone. Oh, hold on. He was a diesel mechanic in Washington, D.C. And she said, hey, Mr. Mike said if you want to go work with him on the side, he'll pay you, you know, like 20 bucks an hour or something. I was like, yeah, I'll go. So I didn't really know anything yet. I was still just, I mean, I knew enough. I was tinkering with my own car, and I was working at Pep Boys, so I knew cars in general. Like, I knew the parts, I knew how it functioned, I knew all that kind of stuff. but I wasn't like a mechanic. I wasn't like, didn't know my way around a shop or tools, you know, the way I learned to. So I get the first job with Mr. Mike down at the ports in Baltimore. I'm like, what are we doing today? He's like, well, you're gonna do a valve cover gasket on a Detroit Diesel 60 series engine. I'm like, okay. So he gives me the parts and everything. He shows me how to take the wiper arm. So it's on a tractor, like a Freightliner. Back then it was a Freightliner. It wasn't a Cascadia yet. I forget what it was, but there's like a metal plate in the middle of the cowl. You take that off and you gotta bump the wiper arm off to get the valve cover out of there. If not, the valve cover won't come out. So he showed me that and everything, and I learned all about it. I was all excited, you know. It was so cool taking the valve cover off and seeing the Jake brakes on the engine, and I was like, I'm in this, baby. I'm a real mechanic, you know what I mean? I was like, this is awesome. And then we went back again, and we worked another day there, and what we did was we hooked the 3DL. That's the software for Detroit Diesel Allison. Or, I'm sorry, DOC is the software for Allison transmissions. I became a Detroit Diesel Allison tech, but I'll make a long story short. So we were changing the injector codes on the 60 series, so they would open all the way up. So the drivers loved it. It gave them more power and everything. It was real easy. You would just go into 3DL and you would change the injector code to 75 for all the injectors. Every injector, when you put it in, a big injector on a diesel 60 series has a code written on it, and you got to go into 3DL and you got to put the code for each cylinder, like cylinder 1. So you got to write them down. If you don't, there were times techs would forget to write it down. So then what they would do is they would just put the number as 75. You know what I mean? Across all of them, just let it go out of the shop. The driver's like, damn, this thing is dialed in now. What'd you do to it? So he had me doing that. I just felt so excited. You know what I mean? All you got to do in life is stack a little tiny win, dude. You might be in the wrong lane on the wrong frequency. Got to dial it in a little bit. I just felt so excited. Because you know why? Oh, you go ahead. Because I was a tech. I wasn't thinking and dreaming, I was doing. Sometimes you got to start the doing and stop doing it. You got to do the do. Mountain Dew. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to get in there and just do something. Stop dreaming. Analysis paralysis. So I was forced into that, and I was making money, dude. I was making 20 bucks an hour. I'm like, this is awesome. I had a little taste of like, okay, I'm a man. This is the glimpse of what being an adult is. Like making a paycheck, getting paid enough that I can pay my bills and live on my own. Not relying on someone else to take care of me, taking care of myself with my own two hands. So one thing led to another. I started working with him all the time. I was like his little helper. And then one day he said, hey, I can get you a job right now at Johnson & Towers in Washington, D.C. I was like, all right. He's like, yeah. He's like, I can get you a job. Let me talk to Jason. He was a service advisor at the time. And he's like, let me talk to Jason. And they offered me the job, 16 bucks an hour, because Mike's word, because Mike was the nighttime foreman. And they gave me the day shift because I didn't want to work night shift because my wife was working at a grocery store and going to UMBC. And actually, no. I didn't know my wife yet. She wasn't going to UMBC and doing that yet. Oh, 997. That might have been a 991. But, .1. So I end up getting the job and I start working there. And I'm like a young adult, you know. It was 2003 when I started working there. 2003, early 2004. At this time, I had no idea about business. I had no business entrepreneurial endeavors. None of that was going on. This was just straight. I'm showing up to work. I'm an employee. Like, I'm gung-ho. Like, where do you want me? Put me in, coach. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't care what I was doing. Back on the streets, I was a tech. I was buying tools, racking up my Snap-on toolbox bill. I had like $2,000 in the I had like $7,000 in the Snap-on toolbox bill because I went out and got a box. I got all the air ratchets. I got everything. 3/8 gun, half-inch gun. I was like going nutty. Well, I didn't buy those from Snap-on because they were too expensive, but I bought Ingersoll Rand at the time. You know what I had at the time? You know what was forming? You know what was happening? An identity. I had an identity of a mechanic, and I was living it, and I wanted it. Now this video series about earning is going to be a little bit drawn out because I want to paint the real picture of going from a kid that told he was nothing, the boy with the broken brain, to, you know, having 911s and and having a family and being a decent person in the world, but also doing things, hacking life, doing things they said you can't do without the resources it takes to get there. You get what I'm saying? So that's why it might be a little drawn out with me telling all these little nuanced things about my story. But I feel like in the end, you'll kind of get a better picture of like the way I was feeling. You know what I mean? All right, guys, we got a lot of action. I'm in the house. We got a big party going on today. Look at this. My wife did all this. Look at this. We got about 30 people arriving in, I don't know, 1 hour. So then I decided, all right, I'm going all in. I'm going to be a mechanic. It's my new identity. So that's what I did. And I stuck with it for 16 years. But I got a lot of stuff to tell y'all. And I've got a long story to tell. So I just want to take my time and go through the story or the steps of how I figured out how to earn more income. Then all the mistakes I made with investing and trying to earn income. And then get to the point where I'm finally now at 41 and I've made a system for myself that gives me peace of mind, simplicity, and I don't know, I feel at peace. So subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in another video. Appreciate you guys.
Ooh. All right. Woo. This is light work. Come on, spill the tea. Ooh. All right. Woo. This is